Oh, man. You can't help but admire how many times Nick Saban fools all these idiots out there. And I hate to say this, and I don't mean it personal, but most of you watching this, 99% of you, you're the idiots. The OG Grandmaster Swan is back at it again. Nick Saban is doing what I like to call Nick Saban things. To be quite honest with all of you, it shocks me with the amount of people that are still fooled with his tactics. We've seen him do this not once, not twice, but multiple times. And yet somehow, someway, people still haven't caught on to it, and it blows my mind. We're going to talk all about that, but we also have not one, not two, but three other topics to talk about as well. One of those being the situation with AR-15, who is the quarterback for Florida. Somebody made a very bold statement about him. You're going to want to see that. Also, Colorado's athletic director called out USC and UCLA. We've got a ton of interesting stuff to talk about in this video, but come on now, what's new? It's college football. Every day's interesting. If you're new to the channel or you've simply been watching and you're not subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button. We are super close to 210K. If you like college football content and videos, I really think you would enjoy this channel. And if you was here last year, you know whenever the season starts, that's all we talk about. So if you're a college football fanatic, just like the rest of us on this channel, we'd love to have you part of the family. If you don't want to subscribe, that's cool too. All right, Matt, shut the crap up. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start off with this first, shall we? One of you sent this to me or tagged it to me on Instagram, something like that, and it is the top 10 most delusional college football fan bases. Taking a look at this list right here, my immediate reaction is, okay. Number one is most definitely not Texas A&M, and number one and number two, whichever order you like, has got to be Texas and Nebraska. So whoever made this list, you definitely nailed Nebraska at number two. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. The only real debate is, what order should Texas and Nebraska be? Would you have Texas at 1 or Texas at 2? Me personally, it doesn't matter. Texas, Nebraska, those fan bases, they're 1A, 1B. I've never seen anything like it. I think Nebraska went 3-9 last year, and I literally saw people from that fan base saying, we're the best 3-9 team in the country. And they weren't even joking, they were being dead serious. And I'm like, well, no crap, you're the best 3-9 team in the country. You're one of the only teams that went 3-9. Like, come on now, that shouldn't be a real thing. And we all know how Texas is. I don't have to explain it. They go 5-7, 7-5, 8-4 every year, and they say we're back after they win a bowl game. So yeah, that is what it is. But also my immediate reactions to this list is, I didn't even know Washington and Indiana had strong fan bases. Maybe they do, I don't know, and I'm sure there's some diehard fans here and there, but I don't think they're delusional. I mean, I'm sorry. Come on now. I can't even remember. Actually, this has never happened. I've never heard a Washington or Indiana fan say, oh yeah, we're going to make the college football playoff, or just something unrealistic. So I don't know about that. Tennessee, most definitely, they belong in the top 10. Miami, probably, yeah. And Oregon, I guess you could throw them in there. The Oregon one is similar to Washington. I've never heard Oregon fans screaming out that we're going to be the best team in the country, or just anything absurd. I also struggle with the Florida State one, because I think those fans, they would even tell you themselves they're really bad and they're trying to rebuild. Like the difference with Nebraska and Texas fans, they suck and they won't admit it, but Florida State fans, I think they would. Overall, though, it is an intriguing list. I am very curious. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. Oh wait, I just went to the comment section because I forgot to, and I like this comment. Somebody said, the fact Michigan isn't one on this makes the entire list delusional. Those people have been living in the 90s for the last 20 years. I couldn't have said it any better myself. You know how I feel about Michigan. They're the most overrated team in the country, and the Big Ten, as a collected unit, is overrated. Michigan isn't even in the top 10 most delusional college football fan bases. They're in the top 3 or 4, if not number 1 or 2. Anyways, moving on to the next topic of this video. I saw this and I was like, ooh, okay, check this out. The athletic director of Colorado said, quote unquote, so everybody is clear, we didn't lose any team that has appeared in the college football playoff game. Matt, what are you doing? You got to give the people some context. My bad. But you see right here, the reason he said that is because USC and UCLA, they left. When I first saw that, of course, I thought it was funny, but on a serious note, I was like, is he wrong? USC and UCLA, yes, they have a lot of money and they got the big name brand, but they have been awful the past few years. Well, actually, my bad, UCLA, they've been up and down, but you get my point. They're not even competing for championships. Let's just be honest here. No need to sugarcoat this. The Pac-12, they were dog crap with UCLA and USC. Do I think both of these teams leaving the conference, it hurts them all too much? Not really, but here's what I do know. It doesn't help them. The Pac-12 is in a weird situation. It's similar to the Big 12. Their conference is depleted, and it doesn't look like anything's going to happen. College football is getting to the point now, if you're not in the Big 10 or the SEC, we don't even think you're part of a real conference. It is what it is, though. I did find that pretty funny that he said that, but still, at the end of the day, Colorado, you suck as well, so you have no room to talk. Moving on to our third topic of this video. Man, this is one jam-packed video. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Like, seriously, man, come on. It is free, doesn't hurt you, and it helps us out tremendously. Anyways, that's besides the point. We gotta talk about Anthony Richardson, aka AR-15. Now, if you don't know Mr. Richardson, he is a quarterback from Florida, and last year there was a quarterback controversy. Why did I say it like that? I don't know. Anyways, that's besides the point. I can't remember off the top of my head what game it was where AR-15 was supposed to come in and he was supposed to play more minutes. Well, not minutes, but play more snaps. Actually, hold on. Let me go check real quick. I believe it was the Georgia game. I'm checking right now. Okay, yeah, I was right. It was the Georgia game. That was the game when Richardson and Emory Jones, the other quarterback, they were swapping in and out. I remember it like it was yesterday. Everybody was hyping this man up and building him up and saying he was going to be 2 times better than Emory Jones. And I was somewhat buying into the hype because look at him. He's huge. He looks like a freaking mini Cam Newton. But when he played, I was disappointed. And it wasn't just a Georgia game, it was after that and all throughout the rest of the season. He really struggled at times, and you can't say he didn't get an opportunity because he did. He had an opportunity to prove himself, it just never worked out, so that's why the quarterback competition, it kept on going on. I'm going to show you his numbers right here. Against Georgia, he was 12 for 20, only had 80 yards with 2 interceptions. That's not good. A couple weeks later against LSU in a game they lost by 7 points, he was 10 for 19, $160 with 3 touchdowns, but once again, 2 interceptions. After that LSU game, he didn't play much, and now with Emory Jones leaving, it seems like it's going to be Anthony's team. When I've seen so many mixed reviews about him, I mean it. I've seen some people saying he's going to be a first-round NFL draft pick next year, and others saying he's not even going to start halfway through the year. It seems like there's a fine line with this kid. You either think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy or he's going to be a bust. For me, I would say I'm kind of the oddball because I'm in the middle of it. I could see him working out really good or I could see it working out really bad. I want to believe the hype, I really do, but from what I saw last year, I don't have a reason to believe in this kid just yet. I gotta see him go out there and make some crazy throws, win those games you're not supposed to, and until he does that, I'm not gonna be a firm believer. I'm not saying I think he's gonna suck, it's more of I don't know what to think about him at this moment. We got a very small sample size with him last year. I say all that to lead up to this because somebody said this about him and it's kind of going around town. They stated, quote unquote, if they changed the rules of football and said the quarterback cannot run the football, Anthony would still be a first round talent. That's our goal here. Okay, that's interesting because if you know a little about this kid, you know people love him because he's a dual threat quarterback and he mainly runs the football. Well, okay, let me go back on that. I don't think he just mainly runs the football, but he's known for that. To make a long and complicated story short, people know he can run the football. The only concerns about him is his health and his throwing abilities. Florida at this given moment seems like a complete and total crap show, and the only thing that could save him is if this young man goes out there and balls out. I'm hoping he balls out because I like this kid, seems humble, and I'm wishing him the best of luck. And also, as an SEC fan, it just makes the sport better when Florida's relevant because I'm tired of seeing Georgia dominate the East when having no competition. This may be weird to say as an Alabama fan, but one of the games I look forward to most in the entire year is Florida and Georgia for some reason. I don't know, there's just something about that game. I love watching it, but of course I don't like watching it if it's going to be a blowout. If you are a Florida fan or you keep up with AR-15, let me know your thoughts on that down below. You think he's going to be really good or is he going to be a bust? But alrighty, moving on to the main topic, the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video for no other than Mr. Nick Saban. Oh man, my boy Nick Saban has done it again. I'm just going to jump straight into it. Recently, Saban came out and said this, and it had everybody talking. My biggest concern is competitive balance. The NFL, which I was involved in for 8 years, every rule they have is to create competitive balance, and if they could have every team go 8-8, so at the end of the season, every team was playing their last game to get in the playoffs, they would be ecstatic. Because how much fan interest does that create? As soon as he said that, like many of his quotes, it starts trending on Twitter and everybody's got an opinion on it. And the first thing that everybody's saying is, oh, look at Nick Saban, he's crying because he's not getting his way and he's scared that college football is going to be more competitive than it's been the past 15 years for him. And basically what they're referring to, and I'll highlight it for you right here, is where he said, my biggest concern is competitive balance. And if you don't know what he's referring to, I guess you live under a rock, but I'll tell you right now, he's talking about this name, image, and likeness. He is saying that he's scared all these big teams, they're going to get all these 5-star recruits, and these smaller teams, they won't be able to compete. I'll talk about that in just a second, and I'm going to offer you a different perspective, but let me read you off this quote he also added. If that does happen, quote unquote, we'll lose competitive balance, which everything we've always done in college football is to maintain competitive balance. Same scholarship, everyone has had to play by the same rules, whether it was recruiting or whatever. Right now, that's not how it is. Once again, everybody is trying to say, oh, Nick Saban, he's just being a crybaby because he's not going to be able to dominate. And I get where all these people are coming from, but hold on, let me offer you this. Don't be so close-minded. I know he gets a lot of credit, but Nick Saban is much, and I mean much smarter than what a lot of people think. I'll show you and I'll prove why in just a second. Let me read you this last and final quote. We don't have any guardrails on what we're doing right now, referring to the NIL. We have no restrictions on who can do what. Some people are going to be capable of doing certain things other people aren't going to be capable of. Once again, there you have it. Nick Saban is harping on this name, image, and likeness, how it's a bad thing. Oh, man. You can't help but admire how many times Nick Saban fools all these idiots out there. And I hate to say this, and I don't mean it personal, but most of you watching this, 99% of you, you're the idiots. I read off all those 3 quotes for this reason right here so I could tell you this. In all those quotes, Nick Saban didn't mean a single word. He didn't mean any of it. He just said all that stuff to confuse all of you and to get you talking. Wake up. It's the same thing with the government. Why do you think they raise gas prices and do all these crazy weird stuff? It's to get you talking. Because guess what? While all the poor and middle class people talk about gas prices, abortion, racism, whatever the government wants you to talk about, guess what the government is doing? They're getting rich. I want you to really think about this. Do you think all these people making millions of dollars, all these rich people, are concerned about gas prices, abortion, and they're talking about racism? No, they're getting rich. That is the last thing on their mind, because guess what the rich do? They focus on getting richer. Meanwhile, all the middle class people and poor people are so focused on gas prices, they can't even get rich because they're talking about gas prices. And in reality, if you're worried about gas prices, you're never going to be rich. Whoa. Hold on. I know what you're probably sitting there saying, yo, Matt, what in the crap does that have to do with Nick Saban? My friend, I am glad you asked that question because that is the analogy I'm going to use. Nick Saban, he's like the government. He wants you and everybody else to believe that he is concerned about this competitive balance, when in reality, he's not. Because guess what Saban and Alabama's going to do? The rich is going to get richer. But hold on, this isn't the first time we've seen this story. We've seen it over and over and over. In the late 2000s, around 2009, 2010, 2011, what was the one school that was making waves all across the country? Oregon. Why was everybody talking about Oregon? Because they was one of the only teams doing this crazy no-huddle offense and air raid offense. They were running 100 plays a game, scoring 70 points. It was absurd. And Nick Saban told people back then that the no-huddle offense, it was going to be terrible for college football, and he was so concerned with it. Nick Saban also said that no-huddle crap, it's not going to last forever, and only a few teams can get away with it. And guess what all these other coaches did? They said, okay, well, if Nick Saban doesn't think no huddle and running 100 plays and scoring 60 points is going to be a big deal, I guess we shouldn't either. And well, what does your boy Saban do? He hires Lane Kiffin and starts scoring 60 points a game and getting over 600 yards on offense and passing the ball like 80% of the time. May I remind you, this was the same guy that wasn't a quote-unquote fan of all this hurry-up offense and scoring all these points. I know what some of you are saying. Well, Matt, that might be a coincidence. And okay, I thought you might say that, you bozo. Let me offer you another example. A few years after that, what's implemented? Oh, something called the transfer portal. And what does your boy Saban do? The same exact thing. He goes on these rants talking about it's terrible for college football. It's not going to be good. And guess what? Who uses the transfer portal the most now? Nick Saban. Guys, you gotta wake up and realize Nick Saban, he's a certified liar, but he's a good one. He does it over and over and over. Whenever there's a new change, he tells everybody, oh, this isn't going to work out. Don't worry about it. And what does he do? He's planning to use it to his advantage. It's the same thing where all these rich people tell the middle class and poor people, hey man, I know I got a lot of money, but it doesn't make me happy. I just live this luxurious lifestyle, drive all these fancy cars, eat $2,000 steaks, but trust me, money doesn't make me happy, so you keep working your crappy job. That is the biggest lie I've ever heard on this earth, where all these rich people tell all these poor people money doesn't make you happy. Because guess what? If it didn't make you happy, why don't you give it to the middle class and poor people? They're not going to do that. They just try to tell you this so you don't try to make all the money. Meanwhile, they make all the money. And ladies and gentlemen, that leads us to where we're at today and at this current moment of this video. Here we have it again, Nick Saban telling everybody name, image, and likeness is going to be terrible for the rest of college football and you shouldn't use it to your advantage because we need competitive balance. When in reality, guess what? Who do you think is going to take advantage of this name, image, and likeness? Nick Saban in Alabama. I want you to think about this. Recruits were already going to Alabama without getting compensation, and I'm sure they were getting some cars, clothes, and money under the table, but now it's legal. So now that it is legal to pay these recruits, what do you think is going to happen now going forward with Alabama and Nick Saban? Will Alabama be the top dog when it comes to name, image, and likeness? Probably not, but here's one thing for sure. It doesn't hurt them, and if anything, it helps them. But here we have it once again, Saban telling everybody, name, image, and likeness, it's terrible for the sport, but I'm still going to use it. It's the same thing with the rich people telling everybody, money doesn't make you happy, but I'm still going to hold on to it. You got to admire it, you really do, because like I said, most people don't even think about this. Nick Saban can tell the media, tell everyone that he doesn't like all this stuff that's happened in the past 3 or 4 years, but look at the cold hard facts. He's used all of it to his advantage. What he does is whenever he sees college football is about to change, he plots how Alabama is going to change with it. And we all know this. Nick Saban, what's made him the best of all time or the greatest of all time is he embraces the change. But I don't even think it's just that. I think he likes the change. Oh yeah, I almost forgot before we end off this video. If you don't think Nick Saban just says stuff to say stuff, check out this. A few days ago on July 12th, guess who was chilling together doing a commercial? Deion Sanders and Nick Saban. Why is that ironic? Because I think most of you remember it was only 2 to 3 months ago these guys were going at each other's necks. It proves my point even more, and Deion Sanders, he understands it. What Nick Saban says to the media in all these interviews, he's just talking a talk. I'm telling you right now, Nick Saban can go up there and say, I don't even like Deion Sanders, and I guarantee you they'd have a phone call laughing about it a day later. Saban is pretty much a con artist at this point, and you can't help but respect it. I am very curious. Let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about down below, but what